Yo, what is up, everybody? It's Jay the Great here, and welcome back to another Boruto 2 Blue Vortex discussion slash review. For this one, I decided not to do a spoiler, but just wait until the actual chapter came out. I think that way it's easier to actually, analyze and sort of extrapolate what we can from the narrative with the actual official translation now out, right? So we have chapter 11 here today, as you can tell by the title and by the screen before your eyes. So with the chapter cover here, we have Hidari and his attire, the Shinji, as we all know, the Sasuke clone, essentially. And as we know from the previous chapter, Himawari unleashed her Nine Tails power, right? It was very nostalgic to see her, power up just like her father and her grandmother once did, right? So it was quite cool to see that. And we got what appeared to be a foreshadowing of what's to come, right? With her most likely battling Jura and the Shinju in general. So let's go on and see what this chapter entails of. And of course, make sure to hit the like button and let me know if you prefer me to just review the actual chapter when it comes out, or if you do enjoy the spoilers more, feel free to let me know that as well. Let's get straight to it here. So, page 1 here. We have Himawari breaking out of the Shinju tree, as we know from the previous chapter. We have Inojin impaled by the tree as well. He is deceased more than likely, or at least very, very wounded at this point. All right. Again, this reminds me of Kushina with her hair. It would sort of levitate similarly to this when she would have her Nine Tails amp, as we know. So we have Jura here. I'm sure this can be attributed to Nine Tails chakra, but what is this? Himawari, okay. Next page here. I thought that leg was broken. It's healed. Again, we do know the Nine Tails provides high regenerative abilities, and her leg literally healed from being snapped by Jura. All right. So it appears that Himawari is trying to perhaps get Inojin off of this or out of this situation here. She's using her hair. Pretty cool. Hey, be careful. She puts him down and heals him. Okay. So I saw this on Twitter, I'm not gonna lie, or X, the what this was here, or what this is. So apparently Himawari is able to transfer, the regenerative abilities of the Nine Tails chakra to others. You could see the sort of chakra emitting here, right, from Himawari to Inojin, which resulted in his wound being completely healed. Right, and it was quite quick. Right, that was probably just a few seconds, perhaps. So clearly, she's learning already how to control the Nine Tails power, which is a feat that her father nor her grandmother achieved so quickly. Right, so that's pretty impressive. Continue on though. His wound, it's closed. I'm not sure if it's worked properly. Get him to the hospital quickly. Hey, what the heck is this power you've got? I'm not sure either, but it must be what he's interested in, and I'm going to confirm it now. Confirm him. What are you planning? I'm going to take him down, otherwise it'll end for all of us. Okay, so again, going back to her being Naruto's daughter, right? She certainly has this resolve, right? She certainly has the will of fire that has been carried down for generations. She's willing to literally stand in the fire and combat this obviously very powerful foe. So let's continue though. You guys get away now, considering that he's only after me. You should be as safe as long as you don't try to interfere. Hurry. Chocho. Let's go. We're just in the way, especially with the energy in tow. Shikadai. Calm down. Think about it. This is a battle. We have little chance of winning, so we got to minimize our losses. That's what Himawari is saying. Wise decision. Nara Shikadai. I shall remember your name. Let's meet again someday. All right. No way. I cannot accept you fighting him alone. I'm not comfortable with it either, but if I have this power, I want to carry out the responsibility that comes with it. So she's clearly aware of the magnitude of the power that she possesses. Right? I mean, she did see her father growing up utilize it many times. So, because I feel that that's what Dad and Big Bro would do too. See again, sort of honoring her father's legacy and her brothers as well. Well, you promised we'd go together to that new pancake house when it opens. I haven't forgotten. I love pancakes. Chocho, come on. I know that you're not complete idiots, which is why it's incomprehensible. What is it that drastically lowers your judgment ability again and again? So going back to this sort of theme or sort of aspect of the Shinju we've seen continuously, the Shinju, as we all know, are sentient. They have their own consciousness. They are aware of their own consciousness and sentience. However, they're still trying to understand humanity, right? They're constant, especially Juro specifically, who seems to be the sort of leader of the Shinju. He is constantly trying to understand humans, right? Why they're not just purely cold and calculated, and why they're not just pure machines that act on logic alone, right? He's questioning that here. He's like, why are you doing this, right? Why are you drastically lowering your judgment again and again? What is it, right? He doesn't understand, at least not yet, the emotions that humans feel that causes them to sacrifice or go through with actions such as the one Himawari is going through with right now, right? Being the sort of martyr here or the obstacle to protect her allies, right? So he doesn't quite understand that yet, which again just sort of illuminates this sort of progression the Shinju are currently going through, right? Which again is understanding humanity, right? So let's continue on. Yamanaka Inojin essentially brought about his own destruction by foolishly not heeding my repeated warnings and engaging in exceedingly reckless behavior that clearly lacked rationality. All right. But while I don't understand it, it seems that something has caught fire in you. Is it just coincidence or is there some correlation? All right. So again, he still doesn't understand. But let's continue on here. Shut up. All right. Now she strikes Jura here. Actually sends him, I believe, flying back. You can see destruction underneath him from the ground here. It seems it caught Jura's attention. She strikes him. He is sent, in fact, flying back. That's a feat. No one has done that, right? Not even Kawaki was able to replicate this sort of feat. It's very impressive and shows the kind of power she wields, even early on, just tapping into the Nine Tails power. It's very impressive. All right, there's destruction. You see this sort of whiskers, perhaps, this sort of nine-tail look that she is now displaying. All right, we show him sort of pivot back towards Himawari. Already, I could already sort of predict what's happening here. This formation here seems to be a bijou bomb creation here, right? Sort of hairs coming together to a central location, right? As we know, here we are. The bijou bomb is being constructed here. Very cool, very nostalgic to see this. If anything, this is sort of not only parallel to Kushina's hair, but also parallel to Naruto's tails, right? Back in the day when he used to go on those rampages and have like 4, 6, 8 tails, right? It's very, very nostalgic here. So, all right, Jura is apparently making his own sort of bijou bomb here. You can see the particles all being collected into the central orb, I guess you could say, of the bijou bomb here, the central power of it. All right, so we have a bijou bomb off per se, right? All right, here we go. She's sending it towards Jura. Jura sending his own. You can see them about to come into contact here and clash, which is pretty cool. Here's the explosive after effect of them coming into contact. Pretty cool. All right, and now we see Shikadai and company seeing the explosion from a farther distance here. Jumps back to Jura and Himawari. All right. Now this is a surprise. Not only do you have the power, but you can also control a bijou bomb. Yeah, that is very impressive. That is very impressive, right? Something that her father nor grandmother were able to do. In fact, her grandmother, I don't think was ever able to do that. She never really tamed the Nine Tails, and it took Naruto, as we all know, a while to tame the Nine Tails and befriend it. Right? Even given Nine Tails power as a prerequisite, I'm extremely curious about how you managed to undergo such a rapid advancement. But even more so. All right, now he's getting serious. All right, so he blitzes her, strikes her, and sends her flying back. He's clearly very, very quick. I mean, it seems here she didn't even have enough time to turn her head back before he sort of dashed behind her here while levitating. Very impressive speed feat by Jura here. Strikes her again from behind, it seems like. Very impressive. This is a first, okay? I've decided to release just a little bit. You've made me want to test my true power. All right, folks, so what this is an indication of, right, is that he is just starting to let loose. I'm not saying he's going all out here. He's not clearly not bloodlusted. He's been nonchalant the entire time since he's come into contact with Konoha, along with Hidari, right? So clearly he's not bloodlusted or nothing of the sort. But he's starting to take the gloves off just a little bit here, right? He said, "Hey, interesting. You are actually competent enough as a shinobi to cause me to take the gloves off a little bit. That's impressive, right?" So, and he says this is a first, right? So, what this indicates is that she is an opponent, right? Has been the most troublesome for him out of anyone that's attempted to challenge him, including Kawaki. So, what does this indicate? The high possibility the Himawari may already be above current Kawaki. Current Kawaki. That is very impressive, right? She's younger than him and Boruto and had more success than Kawaki did against Jura. Very impressive. She's obviously very powerful, and we all know the caliber of Kawaki, right? Perhaps at this point in time, you can even say relative to Jigen, perhaps. I don't think that's a far-fetched calculation or scaling of current Kawaki. We know Kawaki's powerful, right? So that's very impressive. So that goes to show you that Himawari could very well be around the level of Jigen or perhaps even above that if it's causing this guy to take the gloves off just a little bit and just test his true power. That's very impressive. I just had to really emphasize the magnitude of just this statement alone. Right. So, but let's continue on. I had to really get into that. All right. So now it jumps back to Hidari against Sarada and company. Hidari is, I believe, still wounded from the Chidori that Sarada hit him with. That's a fatal wound. You must be in pain. If you answer truthfully, I'll ease your suffering. Who are you? Why can you use a Chidori? All right. It seems that he's exiting again with these sort of tentacle claw marks we see all the time. They seem to be like these sort of vesticles, perhaps, to exit locations. We've seen Code use them. We've seen the Shinji use them. And again, we're seeing Hidari use it here to exit the battleground. And he's just kind of casually going into it and going to another location. So, all right, that was actually incorrect. He seems to have healed himself with the claw mark. We see here, right? Still, his arm is still severed. He goes into the claw mark, comes back out, and now has his arm back. All right, so not only can you leave locations as you please, but it seems that these claw marks, if you go inside them, heal you. That's actually pretty interesting. So keep that in mind, folks. Hey, his wounds healed. Those eyes of yours. Jura told me about them. They're Sharingan, aren't they? Okay. Jura, Chidori, is that what the attack I used is called? I wonder why it was so hard to control, but it seems that eyes like yours are needed to master it. What is up with this guy? You never answered your questions. Who are you? Or rather, what is your connection to Uchiha Sasuke? Who? I don't know who that is. You keep throwing ridiculous questions at me. All right. So again, the Shinji are still trying to figure out what they are, right? So again, it goes back to that sort of current situation being on display again, right? So he's still trying to figure things out too. In fact, it seems Jura has more understanding of the shinobi world than anyone else, right? Because even here he says, "Those eyes of yours, Jura told them about me." So again, this goes back to the high indication that Jura is sort of the leader of the Shinju, right? He's the one sort of leading the charge, so to speak. But let's continue on. Who am I? I'm trying to figure that out. That's why I came to Konoha. Master Konohamaru protects Sarada. What? His target is Sarada? I think. No, I know it. Okay. Okay. It seems he was able to use his arm to go into a claw mark, and his arm came out of another claw mark nearby behind Sarada, and he uses Chidori upon her. Right? Strikes her with it. Interesting ability. Earth style. Okay. Now someone else gets struck by it. Okay. Rasengan. Teleports. He goes into the claw mark. and gets out of the way. This is a speed feat. I mean, Konohamaru is not known to be high caliber in the verse. Unfortunately, he's kind of an L, kind of a walking L to be frank. But still, to get out of the way of a Rasengan from a high caliber Jonin is still impressive. So clearly, they can move between claw marks quite quickly. So, all right, he is aware. Russ, wind style, Ross and barricade. Okay, this is a speed feat. This is a speed feat, and that's, Hidari is not bloodlusted, right? He's just simply trying to get rid of his opponent, but for him to be able to turn and react with his own defensive ability is impressive. That's a W for Konohamaru. Let's give him some respect here. This is a Shinju, right? This is a Shinju at the end of the day, and Konohamaru was able to react to him. He was able to react to him. That's impressive. I'll give him that. I'll give him that. All right. Still something flying back, though, from the recoil. All right. Oh, Sarda, hang in there, Sarda. Now she gets struck. All right. Can't move my body. Okay, so what's happening here is the Shinju are starting to get serious here. They're starting to combat in a more serious fashion, right? Hidari's taking out all these people pretty effortlessly, right? Sarada, Konohamaru, Sumire, right? So clearly he's getting a little more serious as well. All right, so now it jumps back to Jura and Himawari. She's getting worked. All right, she's getting worked. She's getting beaten. It seems that he's perhaps constructing another Bijou bomb with his eye again. She's clearly beaten, defeated. All right, that's what astounding healing power far beyond human or Jinchuriki level. Something almost like what we Bijou possess. Interesting. So clearly he's quite knowledgeable, and he's saying that her healing abilities is even beyond that of a typical Jinchuriki, right? So perhaps even above Killer B and all the other Jinchuriki. Now, am I going to say her regenerative ability is beyond that of Prime Naruto? Perhaps not. He is an exception to the rule of Jinchuriki, but we can say at the very least that her regenerative abilities is beyond that of or any other Jinchuriki that we are aware of, I'd say. We could say that quite safely. You're getting quite weak. It's natural. No matter how much you heal your injuries, you can't escape the corresponding chakra expenditure. All right, so Jura is quite intelligent, right? He's clearly the leader, and he's clearly aware of the way the shinobi body works. He knows that chakra expenditure is another detriment to shinobi, right? The more chakra they expend, the more fatigued they become, regardless of physical injury. He's very intelligent, as we could tell. Very calculated. All right, so jumping to the next page here. God, he's a bigger monster than I expected. Definitely not someone you can do something about solely with high potential. I hate to say it, but we're totally outmatched. All right, so Kurama as well is kind of conceding to the fact that currently they're out of their league. Right? Jura's is too much for him. Jura's too powerful. All right, so now we jump to Delta and Kawaki making their way. Hey, could you just listen without getting mad? This guy could just beat the crap out of you. So what's the point of going there? Because I can't not go. I'll do whatever I can. That's my point. What can you do? I mean, this is a fair point by Delta. I mean, I'm just gonna repeat history again if you're not prepared, right? Or powerful enough, rather. And now we have Boruto as well making his way. Boruto. Now we have Boruto saving Himawari from Jura's beating, because that's what was taking place. He was beating her. And it seems it was quite quick. Jura seemed a little surprised. I mean, he was maybe not startled, but aware of how quick Boruto is here. Alright. I have no idea who I am, but somehow the one thing I did know about from the get-go is you, Uchiha Sarada. So I ask you, who are you? What will I gain if I devour you? Okay. So again, multiple times I've said this, but I gotta say it again. They're still trying to figure out who they are and why they have this sort of feeling or sort of appeal to a certain person, right? For Jura, it's Naruto. For Hidari, it's Sarada, right? And many of us in the fandom theorize, well, with Hidari, it's a little bit more easy to conclude why, right? He looks like Sasuke, and Sarada is Sasuke's daughter. So perhaps because he's Sasuke's clone, he perhaps has some something else besides the looks of Sasuke and the abilities, perhaps his emotions deep down somewhere there, or his care for certain people deep down somewhere there. And because he cares more about his daughter, more likely than anybody else, Hidari feels something that he doesn't understand when it comes to Sarada, right? Perhaps it's emotion, perhaps it's a connection, right? So that's the interesting part with these Shinju. With Jura, it's a little bit more hard to conclude, right? Because we don't know who Jura is a clone of, right? We don't know who he's a clone of. So that's what makes him even more mysterious. All right, so we jump to here where Sarada is being consumed by the, again, 10-tailed tree that we see so often. We see the Sadish Toad here taking notes. In position, Uchiha Sarada's location is confirmed. Symbol is square. Flying Rising Jutsu. All right. Again, a homage to Minato, the goat. All right, we're jumping here. We have Boruto with Himawari. We have Boruto rushing in, severing the 10-tail root or branch or whatever you want to call it, the trunk here, to save Sarada. And Hidari is now aware. You crafty thing, Otsutsuki Boruto. All right, folks, and that's the end of the chapter. So again, we're early on, right, into Blue Vortex, and a lot of these chapters have been transition chapters, or sort of set of chapters for what's to come. Right, so what we can say from this chapter, first off, very good chapter, very good pacing. You know, they get into business. I must say, I'm glad this happened, right, that this is the case, because it shows the threatening presence of the Shinju, right? When they got a little serious, right, just a little bit, we've seen what they're capable of, right? In a couple chapters ago, Kawaki effortlessly got dealt with by Jura, right? So Jura is clearly above him. And with Himawari in this chapter, yes, she did better than Kawaki. Even Jura said I had to take off the gloves just a little bit. That's a first. But still, he casually dealt with her as well, beat her down, and Boruto to come in and save her, right? Now, what I must also say, what is most likely as well, just from this chapter and how things are currently progressing and how prodigal and how powerful Boruto seems, he's still to me the most powerful of the shinobi, perhaps in the entire world right now at this current point in time, right? Because as we know, early on into Blue Vortex, he effortlessly beat Code down, right? And we know Code is above Jigen level with no limiters, right? Kawaki tried to take out a fatigued Code and couldn't even get the job done. He ended up leaving, and Boruto had to follow him to that dimension where the Shinji were introduced, right? So Kawaki's below Boruto. We can say that. Right, we can definitely say that. Now, with Himawari, I said this earlier in the video, it seems that even she is perhaps above Kawaki. Kawaki got effortlessly dealt with by Jura. Himawari, on the other hand, caused, again, Jura to take the gloves off a little bit. I'm not saying he was bloodlusted, but he certainly tried more than he did with Kawaki. I mean, he stated it himself. It's that apparent, right? So it seems Boruto is the knight in shining armor currently. He is the guy, right? That even the Shinju here, right? They're saying, you crafty thing, Otsutsuki Boruto. Respect, right? They seem to at least acknowledge his presence. Like he is the biggest threat to their goals. He's the biggest danger and obstacle that they currently have, right? Again, perhaps Damon and Ida could be in that ballpark as well. We just haven't seen anything from them as far as combat. We know they're super powerful, obviously, but we haven't seen anything from them at this point in time. So I can't really speak on that yet. We need to see them more in action before we could say, where they're at as far as caliber currently. But we can say again, Boruto is the knight in shining armor, and the pacing is great. I mean, the transition chapters have been great. I'm certainly enjoying all the sort of narratives that are being carried all at once, currently in the overall narrative. We have Himawari's story, right, with the Nine Tails now being a part of our arsenal. We have the Shinju trying to figure out who they are and what they are, right, with Jura and Hidari and the others. And we have Boruto carrying his father's legacy, right? Because Naruto, for a long time, right, before his defeat and before the death of Kurama, was the strongest shinobi on Earth, right? I'm talking about, ally shinobis. I'm not including Gene and all that. He was the strongest human shinobi on Earth. Right? He was the guy, the deterrent to all the dangers that are present in the shinobi world, right? He dealt with Kaguya. He dealt with Momo. He dealt with Fuse Momo. He dealt with the cyborgs, Delta, and eventually Ishiki Otsutsuki, right? So he was the deterrent. Now it's his son, right? It's Boruto. He's the deterrent. He's the one trying to maintain the world that his dad created, maintain the shinobi way, right? So I'm heavily enjoying that. I'm definitely heavily enjoying that, and it's displayed observably. He is the most accomplished shinobi in the world as far as the younger generation, right? He took down code. He's saving everybody. He's the man taking action with the most success right now. So certainly enjoying where the narrative is going. Definitely enjoyed Himawari's arc, and I'm enjoying where it's going as well. She's certainly going to be extremely capable. She already is extremely capable. I mean, she's just scratching the surface with her potential. So that's going to be amazing. But yeah, folks, that's about it for my review. Certainly enjoyed it. As far as the rating for this chapter, honestly, it might sound like I'm glazing, but solid at least 9 out of 10. I don't really have anything bad to say. I really don't. I'm enjoying the trajectory of this narrative. But yeah, folks, like I said, that's about it. Feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What did you think about this chapter? Was it great? Was it good? Did you maybe you thought it was bad, or whatever thoughts you may have? Make sure to leave them in the comment section below, and I'll catch you in the next one. This is Jay the Great signing out. Peace.